Welcome to the Learning Curve powered by Tutoring, the podcast for owners who care as much about their spreadsheets as they do their students. I'm Adam, and I'm here to get into the weeds of running a successful education business. Today, we're joined by Dave, who's the head of school at PSG World School. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Um, Please kind of give us some background on you. You've worked in the education industry for a long time in many different countries. Please, yeah, tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so like growing up, I was always involved in some sort of volunteering and working with young people. I spent a couple of summers out in America on a Martha's Vineyard working in like a tennis club. And then when I graduated university in 2012, there was a bit of a global recession going on and there wasn't any jobs available in Ireland. So I went traveling instead. And I started off working in the border of Thailand and Myanmar with the Korean tribe people, uh, volunteering, building schools and churches with a Christian ministry, and then ended up in a local Christian school in Thailand. I spent some time in Bangladesh. Uh, Worked my way up. I was working with like language school, and we set up a teacher agency where we were going out to like 33 different schools, setting the curriculum, working with like kids in very rural Thailand. Then I decided I want to be more formal education, so I got into schools. I was the assistant head of an IB school in Bangkok. Spent some time in Russia, and now I'm in India as a founding head of an IB school here.
I think you get a lot of teachers that come to Asia for maybe some ESL teaching in the beginning, and they wonder how they can have a career beyond that, which you did.
Hmm.
How would you recommend that people approach that, or what's your advice for long term staying here?
I think education is the key. I'm surprised by the amount of people who work in education and then don't feel like they need to educate themselves. I think if you want to move up the ladder, move in different directions, you have to go and get the right qualifications and put in the hard work.
What type of qualifications? What works for you? What doesn't? What do you look for?
Well, I think to move from the ESL realm to the school realm, you need to be properly qualified as a teacher, go out to get your education degree, like a Bachelor of Education or a Master's of Education, and then just try and get into one school. Send out your CVs. You need a stepping stone. Get into one school and get into that school again. Look for ways of building up your profile. I think the better schools always look for someone who's ready to contribute to the whole school environment outside the classroom. So I've always like volunteered for as much things as possible. Just put my hand up. I've always had the attitude of like, look, do the work first, you get paid later. And so that way, when I go into interviews and talk to schools, I can say, look, I worked on this project, I worked on that project, I developed this, I developed that, all outside my job description. And through all these things, I've upskilled myself.
As a school owner, you get a lot of teacher CVs. How do you filter through those, and what do you look for?
So I'm not the school owner, I'm just the head of school.
Oh yeah, sorry, out of school.
I'm
Yeah.
part of a charitable trust. So we've like 33 different institutes in the trust, and this is our
Mhm.
first IB school. But for the CVs, first of all, I look at the presentation. How have they just presented it? Do they have any idea how to like put themselves forward? And then I look at the qualifications. Are they lifelong learners, or have they done one degree 20 years ago and stopped there?
You've been in a lot of different countries: Russia, Thailand, India, Myanmar. Can you speak on the differences you've seen between those countries and the regarding the education industry?
One thing is the amount of rigor in the structures. Like I found Thailand very laid back with many of the structures, and I think that's what attracts a lot of teachers. When I was in Russia, it was actually the number one IB school in the world for DP exam results 5 years in a row, and their structures and policies and procedures were like rigid. It was like there was a form for everything, there was a structure, there was a policy for everything. Now India is a little in between that, where so it's the attitude towards systems is one thing.
Please speak on systems, because I'm big on systems. I'm an operations guy. What systems do you find are like the common denominator between schools that that need the most help, or what systems do you try to implement yourself?
Well, I think if you're looking at systems in a business thing, the admissions CRM is very important. And I think as schools are evolving, people aren't paying much attention to the staffing required in the admissions department. So before admissions was quite a slow paced job. You would have a certain amount of leads come in, and it was quite easy to qualify them. But now with the way marketing is done online, the way AI is done, when you're hiring these marketing firms and paying for online advertisement, they want to get you clicks, so you're dealing with lots of bot accounts, and being able to qualify those leads is becoming more difficult. So you need a really solid CRM system of when you get leads in, how to qualify them quickly because you don't want them going cold. Because again, especially in Thailand, there's so many options for international schools. They might be interested in your school today, and tomorrow they click on another school. And there's not much difference between the schools as far as parents understand because they're only looking from an external. Now, internally, schools can be completely different. Parents don't understand that. So trying to get to the leads as quick as possible and having the right amount of staff in order to do that.
That's really interesting. You're one of the first people to speak purely on the admissions standpoint. First of all, regarding the systems, is there any CRM that you recommend or that you like using for this?
I don't think the actual system you're using matters. It's just once it's structured and disciplined and you're really realistic. So if you're putting out your marketing campaign and you're getting about 1,000 leads, only about 100 of those are going to be good leads. And out of 100 of those, only 10 leads are probably going to sign up. So you need to be able to burn some shoe leather in a digital aspect in order to get people into your school. And again, in an age where you're competing for attention and you're dealing with a lot of bot accounts and getting through all those, it needs a lot more manpower than it used to. So in my current situation, it's one of the most successful educational operatives in South India. It's like they have more applicants than seats. If they have 100 places to fill, they get 3,000 applicants. But we're a new IB school, so and then trying to explain to the owners of like the new way of doing things when they're already established. So also I think that's an issue as well when you're dealing with systems is people's expectations when they're coming in. And I worked with Denla in Bangkok, which was quite a famous, and we were a new startup school in the group. So people have a certain expectation of service when they come in and trying to maintain that for the customer as well.
Yeah, please talk about the conventional way and the new way that you're talking about when opening up a new school. Like what did they used to do and what do they have to adjust to now?
So traditionally, schools were in such a corporate environment, and you've a lot of investment rolling in the last few years, and they kind of have been transformed into real businesses. Before, your admissions department were teachers, that didn't have a class at the moment, and it was very laid back. And it's like who walks in, you apply, and in most places in the world, it was like people just went to the school nearest to them. Now you've got a lot of corporate money coming in. You've big investments coming in, and they're really being run like multinational corporations and very professional. And that's where you're competing with.
How do you train up your admissions staff? And when you're opening up a new school, a lot of schools rest on their reputation or their brand. When it's a new school and you're doing the marketing push and you're doing admissions, how do you approach that as a new school?
So you need the staff training the procedure again, so you're not losing leads. They need to know step one, step two, step three. And admissions are the first contact parents have. So they need to be able to speak clearly with parents about what the school is, who they are, what their child can expect, and be able to answer questions. So they need to have the same understanding as a teacher does, really. So you need to spend a lot of time training the admissions team to talk about education. And we launched the school like 5, 6 years ago in Bangkok. And our first year was our best admissions year ever. And the reason why is because we had our sales team, our admissions team, and they told the parents whatever they wanted, right? So we had parents who came in and they went, I want a really academic, rigorous school. And they were like, yeah, we're the most rigorous school in the world. And another parent would come in and goes, I want a laid back school. And they were like, we're the most laid back school in the world. And then for 2 years after, we had nothing but complaints to parents because whatever they signed up for, we weren't offering them. So this time around, I've been very careful to we need to be very honest with the parents of who we are, have a clear vision, and be able to articulate that to every family. So they're not signing up and buying a product and finding out a year down the road this isn't what they want to be at. Because then there's a break of trust there, and that's very hard to recover from.
And families talk.
Yeah, and also in schools, family, you might have one unhappy family, and they might rise up a gang and go together, and you could have 10 families come into you. Only one family has the problem, but they're all friends and they want to support each other, and there's a bit of peer pressure there.
I've seen that a lot. Yes.
Hmm.
Um, I want to ask your opinion about marketing channels over the time too, because a lot of technology has changed. You're talking about seeing a huge increase in inbound leads and stuff. What have you found is the best ways to market schools to parents over time?
You really need to display your teaching and learning. And I think also what parents want to see is achievement. So when you're building your school, you need to set up as many opportunities for students to showcase their learning and be rewarded for that. So that means sending them off to external competitions, running internal, like most schools have after school programs, but it's just like babysitting after school. I don't think that's the best way to go. You need to have set your after school program needs to have the same rigor a school would have. So you need to have showcases every so often where parents can see if they're learning karate, what belt they're on, what moves. If they're learning K-pop dancing, they need to have every so often certain shows so parents can see that. And parents feel like their kids progressing, because that's all parents want. They just want to see their kid grow. They don't need to see their kid being the superstar in the class. They just need to know their investment is coming good.
I think that speaks a lot to getting everyone on the same page. But you're right, there's a lot of different stakeholders, the
Mm.
teachers, the owners, the administrators, and then the parents and the students and all that. How do you kind of steer the ship in the right direction and get everyone on the same page regarding that?
I think you need a very clear vision for the school and mission and be able to explain it clearly to everyone. And every decision you make, you lead back to the vision and mission, and this is why we're making it. So again, this is my second startup school. My first startup school, I remember we had a teacher who was studying their PhD at the time. And they said to me in the head, "Oh, well, I'm not sure with the vision. What's the vision here?" And we're like, "Oh, a vision. What you got about running the school? You've classes like never mind your vision statements. They're not important." And then over the years, is every time we were making decisions and you're defending it, and you have people arguing in different ways, it's hard to say this is why we're doing it. So, running an established organization, there's a gravitational pull that brings everyone together. Like new staff walk in and like this is how we do things here. Now, when you have a startup school, you tend to attract motivated people who want to make a mark and they want to go and they want to be part of something new, and everyone wants to put their imprint on the school. So you get pulled in all different directions. And when you don't have anything to anchor everyone, it makes decision making very hard. So that's why this time around, uh, having a solid vision and mission, and every time we're making decisions, we're like, well, this is why we're doing it. This is our vision and mission. So when you're talking to stakeholders, parents, and teachers, it's like, this is who we are, and this is why we're doing this, and being able to defend every decision based on the vision and mission that the staff signed up for, the parents signed up for, that the board approved.
I think that's a really good point. So for PSG World School, what is the vision?
Uh, so basically, I don't have it memorized off by heart yet, but it's to create
That's fine.
in general, it's creating an environment where we're creating learners with diverse mindset. So a big one about PSG is this is their 100-year anniversary, right? And this is like their centenary project to celebrate. So PSG is a state building organization. They started in India where there was nothing there. And they built the hospitals, they built the technical colleges in this area. So we have access to all these different institutions. So I'm a big one on project based learning and sending kids out for real world examples. So we don't have kids sitting out and rote learning. So if that's what parents want, that's what we're coming. We expect kids to go out and learn by hands-on, deal with experts, learn from different environments. And the first school in the PSG legacy, in the Sanskrit term, it translated as school for all. Because what happened was a member of a family tried to get into like a fancy British school and he was rejected because he wasn't in the right caste. So this is a big one where we're all equal. You need to listen to everyone. This is a diverse opinion, and we believe in like hands-on learning because I think that's the solution to AI. Everyone's on about like AI this, and we need more AI programs to prepare people for AI. Goes actually, if you want to be good at AI, you need different skills. You need to be able to give good directions. You don't learn that by going on a computer. You learn that by giving someone directions and then screwing up the job. And you're like having talked, well, what didn't you understand? Where have we gone wrong in having conversations like that?
Tell me more about the feedback. It's always important in a learning environment and any business, but how do you foster that type of environment where people are free to give feedback and get feedback?
You just have to create a safe environment where people aren't afraid that something about their status is going to change after good or bad feedback. They have to be like they have to disassociate with good feedback and bad feedback. And in education, that's quite difficult because teachers are passionate people. They're in it because they love teaching. It's a vocation, not a profession. It's something very close to their heart. And when you question something about them in their job, it's not like it's an accountant when you're saying you put the figure wrong. Anything you're talking about is a direct attack on their identity. And when you question someone's identity, you actually get the fight or flight response. So it's a very lizard brain response where they so you have to do a lot of conversations around that, like, and just reaffirm like this is just feedback, right? There's no need to get defensive, right? We were listening. I may be wrong. This isn't there. We just have to listen and take in what we want to take in. And I would think that Thailand was always very good at that. Thai people are very good at taking on feedback because they're very laid back and they just listen to what they want to hear. And I think for me, that's why Thailand had so much development in the last 15 years. And it's just because they've been able to take on feedback, taking what works for them, disregard what doesn't work, and not let it affect the identity of the country or who the people in it.
Speaking of cultural differences, I'm really curious on your insight in the Indian market right now, just because there's been a lot of upheaval in the last couple years regarding studying abroad or leaving India for education,
Mm.
perhaps. Um, what trends are you noticing, and where are they studying now, and where do you see that going in the future?
So Indian people are coming back to India. If you look at Bangalore, Bangalore has the most startups in the world at the moment. So India is becoming a superpower because it's going to start retaining its talent. Before there was always a talent exodus. Now people are looking more at studying back in India, and you see more Indian universities are climbing the rankings of top. And there's less need to go abroad. Before there was like a lack of quality education here. Now they have the educational facilities, they have good IB schools all over the country. They have great universities. And there's a lot of schemes and facilities in order to have the startups. So when you have concentrations like in Bangalore, where you have all these different IT startups, well, then people can stay where the talent is. They don't need to go abroad. And a big thing about our school, our motto is locally rooted, globally minded. So like people can know where they come from because India is a rich history. India was, America's only 250 years old. It's like a baby. India has thousands of years of civilization, right? Where like it's a very strong society where people can tap into their roots and build companies and infrastructure for India. And there's money here. There's no need to go abroad looking for money.
I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be not only a big change in Indian people leaving, but I do think a lot of people are going to go to India for education. I think it's going to be a big reversal not too far in the future.
Yeah. Even myself, I'm looking to do my doctorate at the moment, and there's a huge selection of universities in the top 500 to choose from.
So, yeah, looking at the landscape just a little bit more, um, as the head of a school, because a lot of the people we talk to and a lot of our customers, they work in the school like education ecosystem, right? Or they offer services to schools and stuff. On the as the receiving end of that, what advice would you give to people that are trying to sell like an ed tech product or reach like some decision maker, and what are the wrong ways to do it? I'm sure you've seen all kinds.
I think it's the same when applying for jobs. You shouldn't just go in with a general application. You should actually, the organization you're approaching, figure out what problem they may have and come in with how your product is a solution for that and pitch it on that as like this is what I think you're struggling with and this is how I'm going to make your life easier.
How do they get to you though? Like, can you remember the last, have you ever had a successful cold email or cold call, or has it always just been networking?
I'm pretty good at letting people contact me and just like giving them a small time of the day. But then I'm pretty blunt where I just cut them off and go, look, this is where I see where we're going wrong here. So if you can improve on this, let me know. Otherwise, I have to get back to work now.
So looking at all those product offerings and stuff, what is your advice? Like, what do you see a glut of or a saturation of? And perhaps what are some gaps that people are missing?
So I think that since AI in the past 2 years, everyone's marketing themselves as an expert in different things where they're not really an expert. And then they get found out pretty quickly when they get into a sales pitch and call. And I think they're damaging their brand there. So I think people need to be a bit more honest of where they are and approach it in that way, rather than coming in as like, I'm an expert, I can offer you this and that, and go like you would give time to people starting up and say, look, we're starting up, this is what we're doing, this is what we can think we offer, and we'll work with you, and this is like, and they give you the start off rate, like or they offer for free for experience rather than coming in and positioning themselves as experts and charging an expert rate.
Makes sense. Are you incorporating AI at all into your learning systems
For the students,
for anyone?
well, I use it quite heavily myself, if I'm going to be honest about it, when I'm creating policies and procedures and units. But so I know what I'm doing. So I used to write policies a lot. So I know how to structure a policy. So when I'm using AI, it's just like an extending of what I can do already, as well with unit plans and curriculum. Because I used to have to write curriculum for the Thai government, and they were like real sticklers because when you're getting funding, like we have to work with different schools around Thailand. So we had to put in a like a in some stages a 2 years plan of curriculum, which was going to like some doctor in an education office who will love to take out the red pen. So I'm very good at that sort of stuff. So when I use AI, I can do it now in 30 seconds. That used to take me maybe 2 weeks. So I use it quite heavily a lot. But for my teachers, we did a lot of curriculum planning the last couple of months in order to start up. They at the start they were using the AI and giving it to me, and then I was like, "You don't really know what's in this, do you?" So I had to send them back, and we started doing all our curriculum planning with pen and paper. Because again, it's the AI gives people overconfidence that they could do something, and then they lack the fundamental skills. So I think AI is great where you have the skill in an area you have the skills already, and it's a real extension. But when you don't have the skills, it's a detriment.
How are you dealing with that in the classroom? I'm sure kids are using it a lot too. How do you deal with that?
So again, this is what I say about having project-based learning and be locally rooted. So like all our projects will be based in Ecuador. So when the kids are out researching, it's a very specific area. So we'll send them, like we have a home for disadvantaged kids. So like one of the projects is we have to go meet the kids. There'll be autistic kids set up, make sensory storybooks for those kids. So they're actually going interacting with specific kids. They can't go to chat GPT, right? You have to set up situations where it's impossible for them to get the answers for AI. And that's why I love project-based learning. So project-based learning, one of the key components is a driving question that can't be Googled. Now, now it can't be AI answered. So you have to go out, like we'll be about environmental stuff, about local irrigation projects where they have to go and they have to talk to a certain person in charge. AI can't do that for you. They'll actually have to go, they'll have to speak with people, they'll have to summarize their notes. Now, if they use AI to help them do it, they're going to get a more crisper, cleaner product, but they're still going through the process of doing the work and learning the skills.
Are you seeing students are receptive to this?
In my experience, kids prefer learning in this style than sitting in a classroom and reading a book and taking down notes for teachers. Everyone loves being
Yeah.
more hands-on. Which would you? And again, when I'm talking to parents and when I'm trying to explain the system and go, right, you have a job at the moment. You're in a workplace. How often does your boss tell you sit in the corner, read a book, and then give you a test on how well you read the book? No, they're told, right, you have to work in this team, you have to come up with this solution, you have to solve this problem, you have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to close a sale. That's how workplaces operate. But schools are so nonsensical in the way they're set up.
This is okay, so this is a good place to land is how are you setting up the students for the future? I know you've spoken about project-based learning and dealing with AI. Do you introduce digital products in the classroom? Are they on laptops and phones? Like, what is your digital policy? And I mean, yeah, like, how do you get everyone on the same page for the very murky future ahead?
I think going back and focusing on some hard skills, like what they call like the IB, the 21st century skills, they used to call them, just setting up opportunities so they can actually practice skills rather than watching videos. I think one thing we do with the teachers is when they're submitting their plans and they want to use technology, like everyone wants to use the iPads and tablets now because it's more engaging for the students. The question I'd always ask is, can we do this off the device? Is there a better way of doing this off the device? Because it's very easy to show a video as a demonstration and then tell, all right, now students do an activity based on the video. But is there a way we can get kids actually doing this themselves in a sort of reverse classroom setup? And also, you kind of have to limit the teacher's access to these because it's so easy if every kid has an iPad in the class and it's all right, the kids finish their work early. What you do, just go do something on the iPad, right? Because it's difficult managing 20 students in a classroom. And that could be a bit of crutch. Rather than having a one-on-one iPad program, you have shared carts where teachers actually have to book it and they have to plan in advance. All right, we're using this. What are we using it for?
I think that's great. Dave, thank you so much. I mean, this has been super insightful. I really appreciate this.
It was a pleasure talking to
Um,
you as well.
yeah, thank you. Where can people find you?
On my LinkedIn page, probably David William Sheehan is an easy way to start, and I'm usually pretty uh, receptive to when people contact me.
Yes, you are. I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate it. We'll talk soon. But yeah, thank you.
thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.